You have a pension, a guaranteed check every single month for the rest of your life. Most people would call that a dream retirement. So why do so many pension retirees lie awake at night worrying about money? Here is a number that should shake you. According to the Alliance for Lifetime Income's 2024 Protected Retirement Income and Planning Study, which surveyed 2,516 Americans between the ages of 45 and 75, 46% of retirees say that spending their savings creates genuine anxiety. Not mild discomfort, real, documented anxiety. Nearly half. And here's what makes that number so strange. A big portion of those anxious retirees have guaranteed pension income coming in every month. They are not broke. They are not running out of money. They just feel like they are. That feeling is not weakness. It is not irrational. It is the result of 4 very specific mistakes. Mistakes that nobody in the financial world explains to people with pensions, because most financial advice was never designed for you. This video is. Today, we're covering 4 mistakes that keep financially secure pension retirees feeling broke, stressed, and frozen, and what you can do about each one. Before we get into the mistakes, I want you to think about your pension differently. Most people think of a pension as a monthly check, and it is, but financially speaking, your pension is something much bigger than that. Here's what I mean. Let's say your pension pays you $2,500 a month. That is $30,000 a year. Now ask yourself, how much money would someone need to invest right now, today, to produce $30,000 a year in guaranteed income for the rest of their life? At a 4.1% risk-free rate, which is roughly where U.S. Treasuries were sitting in 2024, the math says you would need somewhere around $730,000 in a lump sum to replicate that income. Did you catch that? A $2,500 monthly pension is not just a check. It is the financial equivalent of sitting on a $730,000 nest egg, one that can never crash, never run out, and never requires you to manage anything. That is your starting point. That is the financial weight you are actually carrying into retirement. And once you understand that, the 4 mistakes I'm about to show you will make complete sense. Mistake number 1 is oversaving. And I want to be careful how I say this, because oversaving sounds like a good problem to have, but when it leads to underliving, it becomes a real problem. Here is what the research shows. Researchers David Blanchett and Michael Finkel published a landmark study in June 2024 through the Retirement Income Institute called Guaranteed Income, a License to Spend. What they found was remarkable. Retirees with guaranteed income sources, pensions, Social Security, annuities, spent twice as much money as retirees with the same amount of wealth who did not have guaranteed income. Twice as much. And it gets more specific than that. A 2024 study published in the CFP Board's Financial Planning Review found that the typical 65-year-old couple only withdraws 2.1% from their investment portfolio each year. The standard recommendation from financial experts is 4%. They are leaving nearly half of their available income untouched. Now, why does this happen? It is not laziness. It is not confusion. It is psychology. For 30 or 40 years, you were conditioned to treat saving as the goal. Every dollar you added to that account felt like progress. Now, in retirement, every dollar you spend feels like a step backward. That is a deeply human response, but it is also mathematically incorrect when you have guaranteed income covering your essentials. If your pension and Social Security together cover your housing, food, utilities, and health care, and for many pension retirees that is exactly the case, then your savings account is not a lifeline. It is extra. And leaving it sitting there, untouched, while you cut yourself off from experiences and comforts you have earned over a lifetime of work, is not prudence. It is a mistake that costs you quality of life. and nobody will ever give that time back. The fix here is simple in concept, if harder in practice. Sit down with your monthly guaranteed income, your pension plus Social Security, and compare it to your monthly essential expenses. If it covers the basics, anything in your savings is genuinely available to spend. You just need a written plan to give yourself permission. And we will talk about that plan in the action steps at the end. If this is making sense so far, I would love it if you hit that like button. It takes 1 second, and it genuinely helps this channel reach more retirees who need this information. Drop a comment below, too. I read every single one, and I would love to know where you are in your retirement journey. Now let's move on. We just covered the spending side of this problem, but here is where things get more complicated and honestly more important, because mistake number 2 is not about spending. It is about how you perceive risk with a pension, and if you get this wrong, it can cost you tens of thousands of dollars in missed investment returns over your retirement. Mistake number 2. Treating your pension income as the ceiling of your financial security instead of the floor. Here is what I mean. Because your pension covers your basics, some retirees become extremely risk-averse with everything else. They keep their entire savings, their IRAs, their 401ks, their CDs, in low-yield, ultra-safe accounts because they are terrified of losing anything. Now, I am not going to tell you to gamble your retirement savings in the stock market. That is not the point. But here's the truth most people with pensions never hear. Your guaranteed income already functions as your safety net. Think about it. A pension retiree who receives $3,000 a month from their pension and $1,800 a month from Social Security has $4,800 a month coming in no matter what happens in the market. That guaranteed floor changes the entire risk calculation for any additional savings. Morningstar's retirement research found in 2025 that even a retiree taking out 3.9% annually, adjusted for inflation, over 30 years, will typically still have significant money remaining at the end of their retirement. For a pension retiree drawing an even smaller percentage, the margin is even wider. What this means for you, if your essential expenses are already covered by guaranteed income, keeping $200,000 in a savings account earning 1.65%, which is around the FDIC national average for a 12-month CD right now, may actually be the riskier choice. Not because the account can crash, but because inflation is quietly eroding its real value every year, and you're leaving potential growth on the table. The fix here is not to suddenly become a bold risk taker. It is to have a tiered approach. Keep 1 to 2 years of living expenses beyond what your pension covers in safe, accessible cash. Everything above that has a longer time horizon and can be invested more appropriately for growth. That is a very different strategy from keeping everything in a savings account out of fear. Mistake number 3. This one frustrates me because it is not your fault at all. Most retirement advice you hear on YouTube, from financial media, even from some advisors, is designed for the average retiree. And the average retiree does not have a pension. According to Department of Labor data, by 2020, only 15% of private sector employers still offered pensions. The financial advice industry has largely stopped building its frameworks around pension holders because there are fewer of you in the private sector, and most of the growth in financial advising has followed the 401k crowd. So when you hear advice like follow the 4% rule, or be careful not to run out of money, or keep 2 years of expenses in cash, a lot of that advice was calibrated for someone whose entire retirement rests on a portfolio they have to manage and protect. It was not calibrated for you. Here's a concrete example. The 4% rule, developed by financial planner William Bengen in 1994, assumes you have a portfolio of stocks and bonds and need to make that money last 30 years. But a pension retiree who already has $3,500 a month in guaranteed income does not need to apply the same withdrawal caution to their additional savings. Their run-out-of-money risk is dramatically lower. And yet, most pension retirees apply the same fearful, conservative withdrawal framework as someone with zero guaranteed income. That is following the wrong map. The fix is simple. Work with a financial professional who actually understands pension income integration, specifically how your pension interacts with Social Security timing, your IRA drawdown strategy, and your tax bracket. Not someone who just plugs your numbers into a generic retirement calculator. Mistake number 4 is the one most people never see coming, and it can quietly cost you thousands of dollars a year. Here it is. Your pension income does not exist in a tax vacuum. Most pension payments are treated as ordinary income by the IRS. That means your pension is taxed the same way a paycheck would be. And depending on how much you receive, that pension income can create up to 85% of your Social Security benefits being subject to federal tax. The IRS calls this the provisional income formula. If your combined income, including half of your Social Security, exceeds $34,000 for a single filer or $44,000 for a married couple, up to 85% of your Social Security benefit becomes taxable, and your pension counts toward that threshold. Push your Medicare Part B premiums higher through what is called IRMA. That stands for Income-Related Monthly Adjustment Amount. In 2024, the standard Medicare Part B premium was $174.70 per month. But if your income crosses $103,000 as a single filer or $206,000 as a married couple, that premium jumps to $244.60 a month. That is an extra $840 a year per person, just from crossing an income threshold, and your pension counts as income. Trigger required minimum distributions, or RMDs, at age 73. If you also have a traditional IRA or 401k, the IRS requires you to start withdrawing a minimum amount each year, starting at age 73, whether you need the money or not. A 2024 Corebridge financial study found that only 14% of retirees have a detailed strategy for managing those RMDs. Combined with pension income, those forced withdrawals can push you into a higher tax bracket unexpectedly. None of this means your pension is a bad thing. It is still one of the greatest financial assets you can have in retirement. But it means your pension does not exist in isolation. It stacks on top of everything else, and if nobody has shown you how those pieces interact, you may be paying more in taxes than you need. The fix? Have a tax-aware income strategy, specifically a provisional income calculation every year. Know where you stand relative to the Social Security taxation thresholds and the IRMA tiers. A one-time meeting with a CPA or fee-only financial planner who understands retirement taxation can save you more money than years of careful penny pinching. Before you close this video, here is what I want you to actually do this week. Step 1. Write down your monthly guaranteed income, pension plus Social Security. Add those up. Step 2. Write down your monthly essential expenses, housing, food, utilities, healthcare. Compare the two numbers. If your guaranteed income covers the essentials, your savings are not a survival fund, they are opportunity. Step 3. Calculate your provisional income for Social Security taxation. Take your pension income, your other income, and add half of your Social Security benefit. If that total exceeds $34,000 for a single filer or $44,000 for a couple, you are likely paying tax on up to 85% of your Social Security. Knowing that number gives you power. Step 4. If you have a traditional IRA or 401k on top of your pension, find out when your first RMD is due. The IRS sets the starting age at 73, and the penalty for missing it is 25% of the amount you were supposed to take. Do not let that catch you by surprise. These 4 steps take less than an hour, and they will tell you more about your real retirement situation than most people learn in years. Quick question before you go, and I genuinely want to hear your answer. Do you feel financially secure with your pension, or does the worry still creep in even when you know the numbers look fine? Drop your answer in the comments. Tell me your age, what your situation looks like if you're comfortable sharing, and whether any of these 4 mistakes hit close to home. I read every single comment, and I will do my best to respond, especially if you have a specific question about how your pension interacts with your other income. If this was helpful, and I hope it was, subscribing to this channel takes 2 seconds. The next video I would point you are on the screen right now. Thanks for watching. Take care of yourself, and I will see you in the next one.